Welcome, folks. It is Jaypher, and Xtrfy has definitely made a name for itself in the mouse scene the past couple years. And with those popular mice, they've had pretty similar characteristics, such as translucent plastic, the circular holes for the cutouts, as well as RGB and the scroll wheel. And now, with the end of 2022, Xtrfy is throwing that book out the window with the new Xtrfy M8. Let's see if this brand new mouse lives up to that Xtrfy name that we've all come to love. What we've got here is a full-bodied shell with no holes whatsoever, no RGB or adjustable sensor positioning either, like we've seen with the previous mice. It comes in a variety of colorways, which is really awesome. This one being the black model with some beautiful bright turquoise accents. It actually reminds me of the GMK Pulse set, which I love. It is retailing for $99 USD. You are going to get the mouse, the charging cable, the USB adapter, and some extra feet. Pretty par for the course with an Xtrfy package. It is coming in at 118 millimeters long, 59 millimeters at the grip, and 38.5 millimeters at its height. It's a small symmetrical mouse, and don't get me wrong, I love this shape right off the bat, but let's just say it is a very dramatic drop off on the front and back, and it almost had me feeling like this mouse feels a lot smaller than it is in measurements. Mouse 1 and 2 have an extremely small button height of 4 millimeters, something we've really never really seen before in other mice, because there's always going to be that charging port or a cable that's going to be there. Xtrfy had to move that to accomplish this, and with that, the port is going to be in the back right. More on that later. The shape is something to behold, like literally. There's no flat surfaces on mouse 1 and 2, so you can rule out that sweet spot found on most triggers. Given its shape, it's perfect for claw or palm, and don't worry about the triggers feeling different if you place your fingers on different spots of those buttons, as it feels consistent throughout with those Kale GM 8.0s. The engineers at Xtrfy made sure the implementation was flawless given its unusual surface area coverage. The back end, I will say, is definitely similar to that of the Kinetic Bolt or the Logitech Superlight. It fits really well in the cavity of your palm when you're in that claw or palm grip. Fingertipping is entirely possible, but I will say the height feels so centered, and with no flat surfaces on mouse 1 and 2, it just kind of felt off to me, a little weird. The sides are pretty flat though, and I would like to have seen some indentation or dimples on it, at least on the right side, for easy lift off if I need to. The side buttons feel identical to the MZ1 to me. They're light and crisp with a gap in the middle for easy recognition. There is slight post travel on the side buttons as well as the triggers, but nothing of any concern. The scroll wheel feels solid with defined tactile steps, no annoying audible clicks, and the surface has a comfortable rubber grip to it. Really feels like a nice premium mouse. Here's a sound test. Overall, the mouse's build quality is top tier. There's no flexing, no creaking. The separation lines in the manufacturing as well as in the buttons and body are clean, and the surface has a nice matte texture to it to offer some grip. I had zero concerns with controlling the mouse, but I do prefer the smooth surface of Xtrfy's previous mice. Like the MZ1 I absolutely love, but that might be in part due to its rather unorthodox shape. Either way though, at a mere 55 grams, it's an impressive solid package. The charging port is Type-C. It doesn't interfere with your grip in any way. When I first saw the port, I was concerned about losing the stock cable and a third-party offering might not fit. Luckily, that's not the case. They designed it large enough to fit most, if not all, cables inside of that recess of the body. I can play with the charging cable, but it still feels strange to me, so in my playtest, I let it sit when plugged in. It's a very odd concept that does work very well though, so I gotta hand it to them crazy Swedes. With no RGB aside from an indicator, charging is not even a concern to me, as the battery life didn't budge at all. Under the hood are two large mouse feet, which I love as they are tapered and smooth as can be. It really reminds me of the mouse feet that you would find on like a Zowie mouse. I would prefer that large surface area with less mouse feet options as opposed to their older models that had more, and they were more of an angular cut along those mouse feet. The 3395 sits at the core of the M8, offering better tracking and readouts than the popular 3370 we've seen for a handful of years. You probably won't notice much of a difference, to be honest with you. It's more of an on-paper stat improvement, but it's also more power efficient too, which is always a welcome. There is no software, which is normal for Xtrfy, and I love that, and I encourage it with every company. Everything is controlled by the slider and buttons on the side of the sensor, which is position centered in the mouse. Using the mouse, it took me a while to get used to be honest. With most mice, you're holding the mouse a la resting your hand on top of it. and that sounds really dumb to say out loud, but the M8 just felt different. I felt like I was treating the mouse like a pitcher holding a baseball. Felt one-to-one with my hand, and the first few hours though, there was like some fatigue in my hand and wrist. It dissipated after a while, and I never really looked back. It truly felt like I was using a super light in a lot of ways, but also the smaller footprint and routed buttons gave it its own very distinctive feel. One thing I noticed that I would change if I had the mold and design concept would be the flare out in the back. It's almost non-existent, and given that I don't think it'll pertain to fingertip grippers the best, I think having a flare out in the back would also help when you need to pull that mouse into your palm for any adjustments. I just enjoy having that ever so slight protrusion where the inside of my thumb is to capture more surface area contact. Now the shape won't be for everyone, as is the case with any mouse, but I commend Xtrfy on jumping onto a brand new shape just as they did with Rocket Jump Ninja's MZ1. It's always going to be a risk to just think outside the box instead of just making another S2, another Death Adder, you know, something that's going to be very similar to what's already a success out there. So I definitely commend them on that. For the asking price of $99 USD, it's a great mouse, especially if you're someone who can't seem to just let go of your Logitech G Superlight. You might just find your new main in the M8. That does it for me. If you have any questions on the M8, if I missed anything, I'm a little rusty. It's been a while since I made a video, folks, so please forgive me. But if you have any questions at all, please drop a comment below. If you like the video, throw a like, and of course, hit that subscription button. Always means a ton. Until next time, you guys stay safe and have a great holiday.